My name is Petros Giannikopoulos, and I am the co-founder and president of Driver. Well, this is a new community for me, so my background is I'm a physician, and specifically a molecular pathologist, and so I don't, I interact with data scientists and engineers internally at Driver. So it's always a pleasure to meet people who are working on big data projects and working on hard problems, kind of outside of our company. So it's a great opportunity to meet people, and it's also been wonderful to see the response that we've been getting, because you never know. It's interesting, sort of people get touched by cancer in lots of different ways, sometimes in ways that you don't expect, and so it's great. Sort of, I've enjoyed the opportunity to kind of be part of this community. So, and I was very grateful to be invited to speak. Well, data's always been cool. It's the basis for scientific discovery. So if you like science, if you like discovery, the ancient Greeks would sort of keep track of star charts, and Tycho Brahe, I don't know if you remember him. He was a famous astronomer who famously cut off his own, lost his tip of his nose in a duel and wore like this silver nose. He was known for basically keeping the most meticulous sort of astronomical sort of charts. And so that was a form of data science, and that was from centuries ago. So there's nothing new about looking at data. We just now have new tools that allow us to collect more of it. And in our world in medicine, it's particularly exciting because it's basically been an analog world. They call it an art, and it's been an art up until relatively recently. And so in pathology or in cancer, you diagnose people based on your physical exam and looking at morphology, things that they're not sort of discrete data points. But now with sort of genomics, it's now it's moving from being analog into being digital. Treatment options are based on very specific criteria. So now you can convert. It's no longer the doctor sort of having a gut instinct that you should try this, but everything is driven by information. And so it's exciting now because we're in the early stages of this, and groups everyone knows, I think everyone knows where we have to go, but how we get there, it's only a matter of are we going to get there in 5 years, or are we going to get there in 50 years? So medicine's undergoing a transformation. I think medicine is very reluctant to changing. So that's why it's very important for people from my world to network and reach out to people from this side of the world, because I think some of the people I've been meeting here, work in industries that where the idea of sort of disrupting and sort of doing things sort of at scale comes much more naturally. To build bridges. Great science and great discoveries. Innovation happens when people from different domains get together. And that's been the story of, particularly in the 20th century, in the 21st century, it's when, I think people forget molecular biology took off right after World War II, because there was sort of there's a number of disillusioned physicists who decided they wanted to study life. Like even Schrodinger wrote this famous sort of essay on what is life, and it was that influx of sort of scientific rigor. And in some ways it was almost like a reductionist science that came into biology, because biology used to be very flowery and kind of describing everything. And it was sort of that rigorous, almost like physicist approach to studying biology that led to that gave rise to molecular biology. Crystallography, for example, the discovery of the structure of DNA, that was at Cambridge University, when, at the Cavendish, where they were studying sort of X-ray diffraction for crystals. That was like a Nobel Prize back in the early 1900s, and they started applying it to like proteins and nucleic acids, and then when you sort of discover the double helix, then you can say, then that's what led to sort of discovering the genetic code in the 60s, and this sort of kind of, everything snowballed. And then the war on cancer got started in 1971, and that was really what kind of kicked off sort of the molecular biology revolution. So the point is, you need people from different disciplines coming at problems in an unbiased way, because people will always come up with new creative solutions to things that you can't come up with if you've just been in it for a long time. So don't be afraid of medicine, don't be afraid of biology, kind of roll up your sleeves and get in it. Yeah.